So I'm going to start recording. Let me focus on mine. Okay, so here's my screen. I want to go through, make sure I got it brought up. Okay, good. I want to go through the website and the syllabus today. So I want to share screen. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. All right, so when you get to Blackboard, it should look something like this, right? And y'all's course is Contemporary Math -001. So if I ever give y'all something with 009, like remind me that y'all are 001, right? If I ever mess that up. I'm teaching two of the same class basically. Y'all are 001, my other one's 009. Okay, so let me go to, I want to do student preview. So this is what mine looks like. This is what yours should look like. So I don't know how y'all got here, if you like followed the email or what y'all did to get here, but this is what it looks like in Blackboard. If you want to get to class, I have a link right here that has the link to the class. It has the meeting ID if you just want to go to Zoom. Usually once you put it in Zoom once, it like, you can always get back there easily. You can always hit the join button and it gives you all your meeting list. So I don't think that's really like a big issue after today usually. Maybe once if you change your device or something, right? If there's any questions on anything, always like feel free to stop me, ask me. And the thing with that is, if you have a question, there's probably at least, well, this isn't a big class, but there's probably at least 3 other people in this class that have the same question. I usually say 10, but that would be like that would be all the class, which is possible. But so the syllabus is linked right here. I have the syllabus and I have the homework problems right underneath the syllabus. So if you ever need to find out the homework problems, they are right here. And so this is the syllabus. This is my favorite part of going over the syllabus because this is like everything that you should already know if you're here, right? This is Math 1332. We are in spring 2021. This is that part of the syllabus going over where I talk about everything you already know. Math 1332, section 001. Here's the synonym for the class. Can y'all see my mouse when I scroll over these numbers? Is that a weird thing? Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
On the share? Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Cool. All right. So at least you know what I'm pointing to. I don't look like a madman quite so much. So this is cinnamon, whatever we want to say. You're probably never going to use that. If you went to the testing center and it was like we were having a physical class, I don't think y'all are all at home, right? I'm hoping. Or are they making you crowd into a class? Hope not.
I'm pretty sure majority of us are at home.
Good. I hope so. Like, not to say too much, but it's all this going back in physical is just stupid. Like, I don't know why they're doing it. For money is why they're doing it. It's like not a really hard one to figure out, but let's just be honest. Okay, so anyway, we're here 8:15 to 9:35. This is pretty much everything you know if you're here. It's a distance learning, so usually the classroom location's on there, but the classroom's in Zoom now, so here's my Zoom ID. And the passcode, I don't know why. There is a passcode for it, but they never make you use it. I don't know what the deal is with that. I hadn't gotten Zoom bombed yet. I've gotten ads on my YouTube that I don't want, but I guess there's a first for everything, so I shouldn't speak too loudly. I am Matthew Sievers. That is me. That's my name. You can call me, hey, dude. Hey, what's up? Professor, whatever you want to say. Like, as long as it's pretty respectful, You can pretty much call me. I'm not a super formal person, so if you want to say sir or professor or even hey dude, it's fine. I don't care. That's my ACC voicemail, and here's what I'll say about that. I have a voicemail. I would not contact me with my voicemail. I would use my email. I don't know when the last time I checked my voicemail is, if I'm being honest, but I check my email pretty regularly. That's the main way that you should respond to me. That's the main way we should communicate. My office hours are right after class. If those don't work for you, I can always try to arrange something else. Oh, man. So, this is what, my third semester teaching online, I guess, right? We went last spring, I guess, is when we started transferring online. I taught in the fall, I taught in the spring. So I taught this class once at a distance last fall. So with that said, like everything is all this digital on all this online stuff is a bit new. And so still trying to work out the kinks a little bit, but I think for the most part, especially after teaching it once last semester, it should go a lot smoother like this semester. I have a lot of the sort of stuff sort of set up already that I didn't have last semester. So I'm hoping to like make the class a little bit better each semester you teach it, right? That's kind of my goal, personal goal, I guess is what I'm saying. So with that said, I think you're getting probably a better product than what your predecessors got, hopefully. So a little bit about the class. This is everything you know about the class. Oh man, I will try not to go too in depth into the like the really like I want to say like the minute details of this thing, right? It's like syllabuses are so boring, right? It's like okay, but I'll try to highlight the important stuff. This is a 3 credit hour class. You're going to come in here each day from 8:15 to 9:35, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Prereqs. So you should have your TSI completion. Last time I looked, everyone in this class, I believe y'all took with the TSI. There's a new version, TSI 2 test, and I believe each of you had your completion. I might have to double check that since a lot of new people arrived, but you should have your TSI completion. If for some reason you're hearing this and you don't have your TSI completion, then you need to talk to me. You need to talk to your advisor, whoever they are. That's really who you need to talk to. You should probably give me a heads up, but you really need to talk to your advisor if you don't have your TSI completion. This is a college level course. So I've taught this course. I've also taught this course. Sometimes they pair it with the developmental course that comes right before this. And I've taught that with another professor as well. So it's a bit of a different experience, but similar material, all right? But this one you need to have your TSI completion for. It is a college level course. Of course, objectives. So my objectives in here, or your objectives, are to increase and improve your quantitative literacy, provide you with an opportunity to experience mathematics as an intellectual exercise and a way of thinking, provide you with an opportunity to appreciate the visual and intellectual beauty of mathematics. Okay, so we want to be able to have a better understanding of the world around us, right? So we want to be able to sort of like, I don't know, there's been comparisons that like kind of compare it to like reading, right? You wouldn't brag about not being able to read. I don't know why some people brag about not being able to do math sometimes. It's a little weird, but you want to have a better understanding of the world around you. You don't want to, I don't want you to be manipulated. I hope you don't want to be manipulated. And so that's kind of my goal with being a teacher, right? Is to give you the tools that you need to decipher the world around you. Student learning outcomes. Okay, apply the language and notation of sets. So we're going to talk about sets. We're going to start talking about logic as the first sort of thing that we're going to go over in the first chapter. I'm going to pair logic with a little bit of geometry in chapter 10, and that will be like your first test. So the thing about that is this talks about sets. So one way you can describe mathematics is that it is an application of set theory. So to talk about set theory, we're going to have to talk about, that's a subject in logic. So we're going to talk a little bit about logic and sets and a little bit about like linguistics in that as well, right? With the language of things. This class is, they kind of advertise it as an alternative to college algebra 13-14. We do a lot of weird, very diverse, like sort of topics in this class. And it is a lot more sort of application than like 13-14, I would say. 13-14 is kind of your standard. This is the algebra. This is the structure of things, right? This, we're going to actually start talking about more sort of applications, more sort of like realistic sort of examples that we put out. It's less about sort of the structure of things, right? And more sort of about applying it to things as a sort of generality, right? With that said, like this is not 13-14, it is a bit different. And then like the next question that usually pops in people's heads is it easier or is it harder than 13-14? And the answer to that is yes. It really depends upon the person, and that's from my experience of teaching this class. Like people all do differently. This class is going to require you to do a bit of work, right? But I don't think for most of the people out there that are taking this class, and from my previous experience of teaching this class, I don't think their problem was like not understanding the material as much as they didn't do the work, right? If you do the work and if you participate along, you may not have like the best understanding, but I really believe like for the most part, most of you can pass this class. You can get your college credit. Most of you are fairly young. Y'all are already doing better than I did at that age. I didn't take any college math. Well, they didn't offer it for where I went. I grew up in Goliad, so it was like I graduated with like 98 people in my class. So I think they offered me a test to get college credit. So didn't have the opportunity to take a math class at a college. Okay, so where am I at? I went on a bit of a tangent. Okay, so determine the validity of an argument. So this is what we're going to be talking about with like logic. So when we start talking about logic, and this is what I'm talking about, deciphering the world around you, are people around you making valid sort of arguments about the things that they're saying, right? Are they supporting what they're saying? Are they full of shit, right? Solve problems in mathematics of finance. So we're going to do, that's in chapter 4 when we talk about finances. If I'm being honest, it's not my favorite chapter. Finances are kind of one of those things, it's all by the formula. I really like things that make you think, things that make you think critically about the world around you, right? And that's really sort of super formulaic. But we will go through that chapter. And I'll try to make it as easy as possible, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know. Try to lubricate it a little bit. So this is demonstrate fundamental probability counting techniques and applying those. So we'll talk a little bit about probabilities and statistics. Interpret and analyze various representations of data. We'll talk a bit about graphing things and those sorts of things. So that's, I'm just skimming over this a little bit. Understanding mathematics is an evolving discipline related with human culture and understanding its connections to other disciplines. So this goes back at like that whole thing with you like taking 13, 14, right? There are all different sorts of ways of doing math, right? And it comes from sort of like this word called culture. There's certain areas of math that they like to put emphasis on because of the culture that you live in, right? And then there's a lot of math that we will do that I will say we're doing this because it's what they do by convention, right? And so that goes back to like there are biases that are within math. The general education competencies, critical thinking, quantitative and empirical reasoning, blah, blah, blah. That's too much. I just read too much. Are there any questions about anything? Y'all are all so quiet, man. I got to do something about this if y'all are going to be too quiet.
Oh, got no questions. I'm good. Thank you.
I don't like talking too much. I like hearing y'all. If I'm being honest. Sergio, come on in. Okay. So the required text, I don't know if y'all saw this, but the required text for the most part, you probably don't even have to remember that. If you want to get to your text, this is back to the Blackboard page. I believe it's under course materials and access your course materials here. You should have all paid with like your fee for your class. It should be under the read now button. And so you should have already paid with the fee for your class to have access to this thing. So this is where your book's going to be. This is all the different sections. So we're going to start in chapter 1. So if I want to do chapter 1, 1A, living in the media age. If you want to access your book, here's your book. The exercises are in after the chapter here, basically where you expect your exercises to be, probably, if you've ever opened a math book. You're like, nope, never. Okay, so anyway, they are after the lesson. They will have the problems. Where am I going here? Go back. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself maybe a little bit. But that's your text. The first day access is what I just talked about. If you're in this class, you paid your fees for your students. You can opt out of this, but it's not suggested. You're not going to have access. So if you got like the physical book or something, you might be able to opt out of that and get a little bit of money back. There's a process to opt out. And I believe those instructions are in Blackboard for opting out somewhere on here. Technology. So for this class, like I said, you're going to need access to a webcam and you're going to need a microphone to communicate with me during class. Check with the instructor for details. Other students can check out an iPad. So if you don't have a device, ACC offers an iPad. What else does it say? You will need a calculator for this course. It needs to have the exponential keys. It needs to have the E or the natural exponential, and it needs to have the log key, I think is what is necessary for this course. With that said, for most stuff, it's not going to be like closed book, closed notes or whatever. Like, so for most stuff, you can use like your probably your phone, right? I think your phone probably has all this stuff on there. The test, you're not going to be able to use your phone. Obviously, it's way too easy to cheat with the phone. So not going to be able to use a phone on a test, but there is a calculator that is attached to the test. And we'll talk a little bit more about the test, but you need the Respondus lockdown browser to do the test. And I'm not sure if you have any experience with that, but it is a little bit weird. Which is why I have a practice exam for y'all to go through. and try to get the ropes out on that. Instructional methodology. So this is a distance education course. It is taught by instructional lectures style class, is what this is basically kind of saying. The time, this is basically telling you you can't learn math just by listening to me. This hopefully isn't an issue. Where is this out of order? Course distance. I feel like this is in weird order. Okay, so there it is. Course lecture is coming up. So the thing about this class, and I don't think I've said it yet, but this class is what is like sometimes referred to as a flip class. So what I have is I have all the lectures, and all my lectures are pre-recorded. They're pre-recorded here in the lessons. So if you click on lessons, you should see all the lectures for the class. So if you really wanted to be one of those people and get like ahead and just start watching these things, you could totally do that. I wouldn't recommend it. Just like do it in good time, right? Do a little bit of math each day is my recommendation. That's obviously the way that we learn it better. Cramming is not an efficient way to learn things. It turns out many studies back this. Do a little bit each day. It's a lot less stressful for one if you just do a little bit each day. And I read something this morning about procrastination, and it has to do with rewarding yourself. And their argument was that we procrastinate because there's no positive reward, and that we only get negative rewarded when we're late, something like that, right? There's no positive reinforcement for not procrastinating. Was basically what they were trying to argue. And so one of the ways that you do that is you make yourself out a list, and you can check things off with a list. And I've found it like personally, I found it to be really sort of effective to write out list of things to do. It is like really like, man, it is the best feeling when you can put that line through that thing. And it really is. It really helps you get stuff done. And I'm not a structured by the schedule sort of person. So if I'm doing it, I think y'all can do it. But you can't listen to math by just hearing me talk about it. You have to be active. You have to do it. You have to participate in it, which I'm hoping is the case because the way the class is sort of set up. The lectures are pre-recorded. I want you to go watch these lectures. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, and I'm going to skip back. But here is the calendar that is on the syllabus. So before Thursday, the 21st, I want you to find this page. I want you to watch this lecture. It is a 42-minute lecture, right? And so the idea is that before Thursday, you go and watch that lecture. And hopefully it looks like y'all watched it when I look at my views. And then when we come to class, what we will be doing is we will be doing most, if not all, of these problems from the homework. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm making you do a little bit of work outside of class by watching the lecture before the class. And I'm hoping to make up for that a little bit is that we will get through the homework, or we will get through most of the homework, and that will save you time on doing the homework. So since you're watching like a lecture out of class, I'll spend a bit of time or most of the class time, right, doing the homework. And so back to where the syllabus.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's going on?
So will we be meeting every Tuesday and Thursday?
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:15. Yep. To basically go over the homework. We will talk about like the lecture. And here's the thing with the lecture, right? I know you're doing the lecture, and there's a lecture. Here's the lecture videos. The other thing is that there are lecture notes, right? So for every lecture, there's correlating notes to go along with it. And I know like this is a bit of an unconventional struggle, or unconventional structure. Sorry, said the wrong word. And so with that said, like, I'm not expecting you maybe to like know this stuff 100% coming into class, right? But that's like the kind of the purpose of having class. You need some sort of introduction to the material before we start talking about it. It's just gonna make things flow more smoothly. And like with this said, like depending on like how you do this class, it's set up to where it can go really bad really fast, if I'm being honest, right? You really need to go and you really need to watch these lectures and you need to watch them and come to a class prepared. If you do that, it's going to make class go oh so much more smoothly, right? Things will just be a lot easier. If you don't watch the videos, it's going to be, usually it's pretty obvious when people don't watch the videos. I really don't even have to look at the number of people that watched it. Usually I can tell just by like the class response. And the class goes a lot slower. It's a lot like more of a struggle. It's just like it's harder on me. It's harder on you. It's just not nice to like not watch the videos. I don't know what to say. And the videos aren't that long. They're usually less than an hour, right? I think one of them might be longer than an hour. And I'm hoping what you do, I'm hoping you download the notes. I'm hoping you look through the notes, and I'm hoping you try to complete some of the notes on your own if you can. And then what you do is you watch the video and you work along with the notes through the video. And so that's what I'm hoping you do before you come to class. And then when we're in class, we will work through the homework. So it starts with you going home and watching the lecture and going through with the lecture notes. So here's maybe like an example of what my lecture notes might look like. I have a few things defined. I'll probably rant and rave somewhere in the video about something. Fill up this blank space here. And so this is what typical lecture notes look like, I guess. They have the problem set up. They have some areas for you to fill in. Those are your own notes for your own sort of personal studies, right? The things that are going to be for grades are homework, quizzes, tests, and then you will also have a research project that I will have. And so this is your grading scheme. The homework's worth 15, quizzes are 15 each, or not each, sorry, total. Tests are 12 each is what I meant to say. And the project is 10. Oh man, I don't know how y'all are, but like, I always felt like the first day of class was always the most stressful personally. And it's just like, it's just so much information just coming at you at once. And it's like, there's no way I'm going to remember this. But that's why you have a syllabus, you have a physical document here. If you can't remember this, you can always go back to the syllabus. If you can't remember what I said in class, you might have noticed there's this thing that says class recap. So I intend to repost the classes up. And so you'll have access to videos of the class. And so if you miss something in class, or if you want to go back and watch your class, you should be able to do so, right? I know, like, what do I want to say? These are interesting times that we're in. Is that the euphemism that we're using? There's a lot going on, right? And like, I know a lot of people are missing things, and sometimes they're legitimate reasons, sometimes they're not. But a lot of times they are legitimate reasons. So I want you to be able to go back and catch something if you miss it. Or if you need to watch something again and see how to do something, it's there for you, right? Trying to get you the resources you need there. So there's course lecture is the first thing that you should do. We're going to come into class. We're going to do most, if not all, of the homework. So the homework that we're going to do are going to be these problems from the suggested homework. I might take one out or put one in or something, but for the most part, this is the homework that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing in class. So I want you to write up this homework. And then under submitting assignments, I have written assignments. You will go in and turn in your homework here. And so I believe I have all my due dates set up correctly. So we're going to do this Thursday in class. So I think the way I have it set up is it's due by the next day, by like midnight the next day. So it should give you plenty of sort of time to finish up your homework and turn it in. And then hopefully you have enough time to watch that lecture video before the next class. Is the class structure making sense, hopefully? Does anybody have any questions about the class structure or what's sort of expected? So before Thursday, what are you going to do?
Homework and watch the lecture.
Just watch the lecture. You don't have to do, you can look at the homework, right? But like, it's not necessarily expected that you do the homework. We're going to do it in class. So I'm hoping you watch the lecture and work through the lecture. Okay, I don't need that. And then before Friday, before the end of the day Friday, I'm hoping you submit the homework that we work Thursday. And that's usually the amount of time I think I'm gonna give you. I think that should be enough, hopefully.
Are we submitting a picture or retyping out the homework?
So the way to submit homework, is it on here? Submitting written homework in Blackboard. So it gives you instructions here on how to do that. And where's it at? There's an app that they use called the Genius Scan. So if you don't have this app, it comes suggested on here. I would also highly suggest it. It is a really nice app. I've tried it out, and it does exactly what you need it to do for this class, basically. So what you're going to do is, if you have a phone, you're going to put this Genius Scan app on your phone, and you open up the app and you take pictures of what you did. So it should be written work, and then you can take a picture with your phone, and using this Genius Scan app, it should be really easy to convert it to a PDF and attach it to Blackboard. And again, when you submit assignments, these are all going to be like the places that you submit assignments here. You're going to go into like chapter 1A, you're going to browse your file location, and you're going to attach the file here. So go browse something, I don't know, attach it, and then submit it. Okay. So grade distribution here. The homework, this is the thing that I'm talking about that we're going to do in class. And so I have a few plans on how to maybe make this a little bit better than last semester. So with that said, there's a few applications I'm probably going to put into use for the first time to like see how they go. It should make it better, but with that said, it is the first time I'm using it, so who knows. But I realize it's probably like y'all's probably third semester on taking online classes too. I think it's new pretty much for everyone, right? And as long as y'all work with me a little bit, I'll work with y'all a little bit on that. And I've kind of set the course up to be a little bit more forgiving than I usually am, if I'm being honest. So we have homework that we're going to do daily. We have quizzes that are going to sort of wrap things up. If we want to wrap up sections for tests, there are quizzes. So if you look up your quizzes, excuse me, your quizzes are up here. So these are all your quizzes already. I've got your quizzes up. So quiz 1 is up already. I think there might have to be a little bit of editing I have to do with one of these. I think I left something out or something from last, but these are basically the same as what I did last semester, if I'm being honest. Okay. So your quizzes are here. If you want to open up the quiz there, if you want to submit the quiz, you click on this quiz 1 button and submit it. So homework is for a grade, quizzes are for a grade. tests are obviously for a grade, and then we have a research project. So those are the things that for a grade that you really have to worry about. Okay. For the test, and this gives you all the instructions on how to take the test. I'm debating what to do for quizzes, if I'm being honest. Because I have the quizzes up here. And last semester, we did go over the quizzes, if I'm being honest. So I'm thinking I'm either going to get y'all probably like an answer key or something for the quizzes. And I know it says it in here, but just to highlight it, like in order to get credit for stuff, you have to show all your work. And let me say this explicitly. I don't want something that looks like an answer key. If you're giving me something that looks like an answer key, you might get half credit on that. Like, I don't care about the answer. Like, I care a little bit about the answer, maybe. But like, for the most part, I don't care about your answer. I care about the way you get there, right? There's this old saying, a broke clock is right twice. I don't care if you're right on your answer. I don't care if you have the correct time. I care if you're functioning, right? Is your reasoning process functioning? And if I'm being honest, if you if you get a math teacher that only cares about your solution, like they're not, I would not take that math teacher. Like it's not the way math is done. Being correct in one situation is not as good as having the process down and being able to like replicate it, right? There is an advantage to sort of generalizing things and having a general approach to things. So with that said, like I expect you to show work. I don't want something that looks like a solution key. I will give you solutions to stuff. I don't care if you have the solution. I care if you know how to get to the solution. And so with that said, if you turn in something that looks like an answer key, you're not going to get a good grade. And if you keep on doing it, you're going to get an even worse grade each time. So don't do that. Show me your work. Make your work legible so I can actually grade it. One of the things that makes you a better student, one of the things that's made me a lot better student is becoming an instructor. It's kind of a weird thing, but like when you become an instructor, you realize what it's like from the other perspective, right? And you realize what instructors want a little bit then. But like basically, like make me kind of like want to grade it, right? Like it makes you think about things from the instructor perspective. A lot of people turn in some slop and it's just like, I don't want it, like, you know, it's like you don't want to grade it, and it like consequently probably makes you like put a worse grade on that paper. Like just a little bit of neatness goes a long way, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not the neatest person. So with that said, like, might have to use your own discretion there a little bit. Quizzes, I went over test. The research project is already up if you want to look at what your research project is. But basically it is like write a 3-page paper with 3 scholarly sources, MLA format, about something that is math related. So my goal with the research project is to trick you into doing some recreational math, to trick you into reading about someone that's math related, reading about something that's math related. I'm just trying to get you to do something that's like not the like status quo, like this is what's expected to be in a class sort of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, you know, it's trying to get you out of the sort of box that like maybe school puts you in sometimes. And it's finding something that maybe like is personally appealing to you, that has to do or relates to math in some way, right? I'm not trying to make this like a super difficult thing to do. but I am particularly like a stickler about being at 3 pages. Like a lot of people turn in some crud that's like 2 3/4 or something, right? And like a 3-page paper should be at least 3 pages. Like every class I've gone in college, even in high school, like I don't know if that requirement changed somewhere along the way. I don't think it did. I think people are just being lazy, if I'm being honest. But if someone says 3 pages, that means at least 3 pages. A lot of people try to turn in some garbage. Communication with your instructor. So basically, the best way to communicate with me is through email. The best way is through the ACC email, your ACC account. That's the way I'm going to communicate with people primarily. Attendance, you're expected to be here. You're expected to participate in class. This is one of those things, if you don't do it, it's probably going to be fairly obvious fairly quickly, right? We can talk about a lot of cool things in this class if y'all go watch the lectures and are active in class. Withdrawal policy. Did I put the date in here? Oh, no, I didn't put the date in here. But it is on the ACC website. There is a withdrawal date. It is usually pretty late for ACC. And I will probably, most likely, unless I just totally flurb it, I will make an announcement before the final withdrawal date and let you know who probably needs to do what at that point. Late work policy. There is no late work to be accepted in this class. So this is my late work policy. And I know a lot of you are probably from high school coming into college, kind of like fresh faced about like what's happening. But one of the best, and I'm I'm pretty much first generation itself. So I can kind of understand like trying to figure out how the ropes of college work sometimes. But with that said, one of the things that you should really take to heart about college is like this syllabus. And there's a reason why I'm going over it now and reading everything. And it might be a little bit boring, but the syllabus is sort of like your contract with the class. And I've seen it work both ways. If it's in the syllabus, I have to adhere to it. And if it's in the syllabus, you also have to adhere to it. And so I've seen it work out both ways. Like students will call out a professor on what they've put in their syllabus, and they have to go back and they have to do what they said, right? And so a lot of this stuff that's in the syllabus is like what you would refer to as like, you know, cover your butt, cover your ass. I don't know. Am I allowed to say that? Y'all are high school students, right? I think I'm allowed to say ass in high school. This is like a cover your ass sort of thing, right?
You're allowed to say anything you want, sir.
Okay. Well, since you gave me permission, I'll say it then. So this is just to cover my ass sort of thing, right? This says no late work. If I'm being honest, if you turn something in at 12:01 and it was due at 11:59, I'm gonna grade that thing, right? Like if you're doing it and you're a little bit late, like turn it in, right? Like if you're turning stuff in days and days late, and I've already graded stuff and I have to go back and grade stuff to grade your stuff, like that is a lot more work for me to do. So like I said, like one of the most advantageous things that I've done that like has helped me as a student is becoming an instructor. Because then you start seeing things through the instructor perspective, right? If I haven't graded it yet and you turn it in between like when it was due and when I grade it, it's not a big deal, you know? It's like not a big deal for me. So it's like, okay. And so usually if that's the case, I will usually grade it. So if you're like turning stuff in and you're a little bit late, like I am usually a little bit forgiving on this, but if it's like becomes a habit or something, then I might have to like buckle down on it and remind you like, hey, I'm not even really supposed to take late work. Missed exams. So the thing about missed exams is you're expected to be here when we take the exam. We're going to do it through Respondus. You're expected to go into Respondus on your own and take the exam on the day that the exam is scheduled. And so there were instructions about Respondus, but I'll give you a little bit of rundown on Respondus. Respondus is its own browser. It's like Chrome or E. I think E is like dead now. I don't even think it's an internet browser. I think they finally bit the what is that? Kick the hay. And so you have to download this thing called Respondus, and then Respondus and what is that monitoring thing? I might be getting them mixed up. Where'd I see that? Test. It is lockdown. Okay, the browser is called Lockdown Browser, and then there's a webcam little thing that's on the Lockdown Browser called Respondus Monitoring. So you need both the Lockdown Browser and the Respondus Monitoring. And if that sounds like a mouthful, yeah, it probably is a little bit. But the good thing about it is if you go and look at your test, there is a practice exam. So you can download the Respondus Lockdown Browser and monitoring system and make sure it works correctly before you take your test. And so there is a practice exam if you want to run through it and run through the ropes. I want you all to go do it before we take our first test. I will crack down probably the week before we take our test and start yelling at you that you haven't done it yet and that you need to do it. It's a good idea to get the ropes down because it's a weird thing to do and it doesn't always work correctly. And so it's a good thing to kind of iron it out before you actually have to take a real assignment using that program. And so that's what that practice exam is for. And so that's sort of the way we're going to do exams. If for some reason you can't get Respondus working, I'm usually in this Zoom during the exam. So you can always come to class during the exam and see what's up. And we can try to get you to take the test some other way if you can't take it in Respondus. And then the other thing is you can always shoot me an email, right? So if there's something going haywire with your test, I'm usually in Zoom and I'm usually active in my emails during the test. So usually there's not a lot of excuses to not try to hit me up during a test if something's going wrong. I've had someone try to come up with that excuse before, but there's not a lot of excuses to not try to communicate with me as best as possible, and I will try to work with you. And the thing with missing an exam, if you have to miss an exam and you know you're going to have to miss an exam and it's a credible excuse, talk to me before the exam, right? There's a few students, and I really try to work with people on this. I realize like these are kind of weird times. But like when you're like hitting me up like 2 days later and you're like, oh shoot, I missed an exam. That just looks like, to me, that looks like you forgot about an exam and then you hit me up 2 days later about it, right? It's like, you really need to like talk to me as soon as possible. Shoot me an email before if you can. And if you can't shoot me an email before the exam, like it should be like maybe hours after the exam. It should not be days after the exam, right? Like, I don't know what to tell you on that. Like, having no internet only works for so many hours, right? It can't be like days later. Like there's too many ways to get free Wi-Fi around the city. I don't know. It's just, I can't take excuses days later. It's gotta be soon, right? You gotta hit me up as soon as possible. Incomplete grades, I almost never give incomplete grades. I've never given an incomplete grade, but they are a thing that is possible if you have some sort of emergency. That's almost never something that happens. So this is the course schedule. Are y'all the ones that have? Yes, y'all have that extra little day. My other class starts out on MLK Day, so they're already missing a day off of their first week. So I think y'all technically have 1 day extra than them. So today we're doing the course intro. I'm trying to go through, run down how the course works. Thursday, we will start the course officially. So we will go through, we will work most of the way through 1A, if not all the way through 1A. And then hopefully Friday, you will submit your assignment. So before class, I want you to go watch that lecture video. I want you to go either like print out the notes or follow along with the notes somehow. Make your own notes. So it looks like our first test is on February 11th. The quizzes will be due the same day the tests are due. They are usually due like, I don't remember how many, like 30 minutes before the test or something like that. They are due right before the test, basically, is when I want you to turn them in. The project, that research project that I was talking about, will be due basically on the last day of class. Get it turned in before class is over. Note that any like schedules changes can occur during the semester. They certainly did occur a year ago, pretty quickly. Any changes will be announced in class. College policies, campus operations. So this talks about what COVID-19. We're not coming to class because of COVID-19. Student rights and responsibilities. Here we go. ACC has the same rights and protections we are in the U.S. You have the rights and protections of the Constitution, freedom of speech, peaceful assembly, petition, and association. Okay, so as members of the community, students have rights to express their own views, take responsibility for their same rights. It probably also says something about respecting other people in here. So for the most part, I really don't have a whole lot of problems with people respecting each other for the most part. Occasionally stuff happens, and this is that sort of thing I'm talking about. You got to cover your butt. Senate Bill 212 and Title IX reporting requirements. You're not allowed to discriminate against anybody for any sort of sexual reason, sexual harassment, sexual assault. So Title IX is the thing that deals with that. Dating violence for sexual. Do they even put it on here? You're not allowed to like discriminate against people for sexual preference or anything of that nature, right? Is where this is coming in. Gender-based and sexual preference and all those things, that is what is covered under your Title IX. So if you feel that someone is discriminating against you, you can absolutely report that, and you should report that. So student complaints. So this is the way that you file a formal complaint if you want to file a formal complaint. Statement on privacy. So you are protected under the FERPA Act. Safety statement. So this is where it says your health and safety are paramount. What else we got? Campus carry. In case you forgot, we're in Texas and everyone wants to play cowboy. There it is. You can have a concealed campus or a concealed carry on campus is allowed. The place that we're not at right now. Okay. Discrimination is prohibited. You're not allowed to discriminate against anybody based on race, color, national origin, religion, age, sex, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability. And so with that said, and student supportive services is coming up. So if there is anything that you need for supportive services, there are the official channels you can go through. If there's anything that you need and you don't want to go through an official channel, you can always ask me, right? I'm trying to think. Usually like it's stuff like extended test time or something like that, right? I realize some people are able to go through the official channels. I realize there's like some hurdles and like not everyone can do that always all the time. So if you have some sort of thing that you want me to work with you with it on or whatever, you can always come talk to me. I can do what I can do as best as I can do it. I don't know what's to take on that one. But use of ACC email. So if we're going to talk to each other, we're going to probably do it through the ACC email. That's the way that they like us to do it. Use of the testing center. We're not even on campus, so that's probably never going to come up. But it's got the instructions there. Student accessibility services. So this is what I was talking about. If you're going through the official channels, send me that email and I'll work with you on that. It's never an issue. We always get things sorted out on those things pretty quick. Academic support. So I know they have tutoring services through ACC. Ooh, what did I just go to? I clicked the hyperlink on there by accident, I think. So we have the tutoring services through ACC. I used to work as a tutor for ACC for a while. That's where I started out. So they have the tutoring center. Where are we at? Student Accessibility Center, academic support. You can make an online tutoring request there. I think that's what I accidentally clicked. I didn't realize there's a link because it wasn't highlighted. But here we go. We also have library services. So if you have to research something, these might be good resources. There should be an academic search through the library site somewhere in there that gives you academic sources, or scholarly sources, whatever they want to call them. Student organizations. So ACC has a bunch of student orgs if you want to join them. There's the site for the student organizations. We're getting at the end here. Anybody have any questions? Is there anything I maybe didn't go over? This is our classroom link. I think I went over all these links, huh? No, maybe not all of them. Class syllabus. If you want to get your syllabus or your homework problems, there it is. The lecture notes are here under lecture notes. When we do 1D, I believe this is the homework for section 1D, and it's under logic exercises. So these are just a few of the documents that I had to put in here. The video links. So the lessons before next Thursday, I'm hoping you go watch 1A. I'm hoping you look at the lecture notes that go along with that video and try to fill them out. And then for Thursday in class, we will go over the homework for 1A. You will finish up the homework for 1A and then watch 1B before the next class. Is that making sense? Hopefully, I'm hoping. This is where you will submit your homework and these written assignments. This is where you will submit your quiz. So the quiz itself is here. If you want to submit it, it's this button. Your test, when you take the test, there's a practice exam you can start with to see what taking the test is going to be like. The test will pop up in here whenever it's time to take the test. So I know they're not showing up right now, but this is where they'll pop up. Here's the research project if you want to look at the research project. There it is. This is where you will submit the research project. Probably going to forget all about that until like a few weeks into the class, probably, huh? The announcements. So after submitting assignments, I have the announcements, course materials, and tools. Those are probably like 3 important things to go over too. So my announcements are here. Course materials is where you're going to get your book. So that's where you got access to your book. Course materials under access to your course materials. That's where your book is. Tools is probably where you're going to go look at your grade. So tools, I believe the grade is somewhere in here, my grades. And I got nothing. It's blank. And anything else? I think that's it. I don't know. I need to exit. Where is stop share? There we go. Sometimes that thing bounces around. Okay. Oh, whew. All right. So Any questions over anything that's expected? So before next class, go watch that video for 1A. We will start doing the homework for 1A next class. I'm gonna pin y'all. Remove pin. Somehow I pinned y'all. All right, where are we at? 9:34. All right, so if y'all don't have any questions, go ahead, go watch that video. Come class ready to learn, ready to talk about section 1A, living in the media age, I believe is what that section's titled. So the first chapter is all about logic. It's probably like, you're probably gonna be like, why are they put this in a math class? But I will see y'all Thursday. Have a good day. Take care.
Have a good day.
And someone said something, sent something into me.